shoots one over the bag. That's a fair ball, and the Mets will take the lead. Guillorme is in. Nimmo scores. Here comes Marte. Lindor will be held in third, and the Mets lead it 10-8 in the 8th inning.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Shea Station podcast. The Mets have just dropped a series to the San Francisco Giants at Oracle Park. They are 29-17 and lead the NL East. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jolly, aka Jack. Joining me, as always, is homeowner and father of two who has important calls today, Jerry Blevins. Jerry, how you doing, man?
Good. Yeah, thank you for that amazing intro. We were just talking about how weird it is to be an adult. Be like, yeah, I have to do like silly homeowner stuff, like, you know, talk to a contractor, and I have to. There's like a gutter thing going on in my house where I'm like, how do I fix a gutter? I have to call, I'm the one that has these responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jerry,
I am. It's me.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how handy are you around the house?
I am, let's see. My baseline is a 0.
Okay.
But I grew up bouncing around all the time, single mom raising 2 kids. So
Right.
we were renting everywhere. So I was like, call the super, call the landlord. But as soon as I got out on my own, YouTube is the greatest thing. Right?
I agree.
I put in my like refrigerator, my first house, and like, hooked up the water line, fixed the toilet, and I'll text my older brother. And every time I do something handy, I'm like, dude, look at this. So manly. I need to go buy some tools. I don't know anything. Like I don't have that genetic, predisposition of, I'll just fix that. Like, change an oil, change a tire. Like I had to learn it all, on the fly. But luckily for me, I want to do most of that stuff. But if it's like electrical,
it's over.
I'm going to call the professionals.
Let's not get too brave,
Yeah. I'm not going to, do anything too crazy. But if it's something doable, I'm in.
Our producer, Audio Jack, was a hit around the office because he had his red toolbox that he brought to the warehouse when we were assembling stuff for the tournament. It's really funny.
That's so manly.
Very manly.
Yeah, I built the bleachers in the warehouse.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Was it like slightly beat up toolbox?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, rusted.
That's what I
way
mean.
more
It's
than
like broken
slightly.
in already. You're like, this guy knows tools.
It was me and Zoe from We Got Eyes called it like his hot boy moment. I think that all eyes.
I've been known to have one occasionally.
If you would have had like a flannel like rolled up, that would have been.
I was wearing my Carhartt.
Don't worry,
I
I'll
definitely
fix
looked
this.
the part.
Hey, wait. Let me switch the cameras. So for people on the YouTube channel, we saw it this morning. Let's get a visual of Hot Boy Jack.
And look what he's wearing.
I'm
I
sorry.
know.
I didn't really think
give an
about it.
explanation to your San Francisco hat real quick.
I'm a fan of all New York and former New York baseball teams.
Yeah.
And I guess sports teams in general. I wasn't really thinking about what hat I was wearing when I left the house.
So that's the thing.
Today.
So he has like a collection of all former New York sports teams.
Right.
And then he just grabbed that one because he was running late out the door. Just ironically enough, had to have been the team that broke our hearts a little bit, took a series from us. But we are here.
Yep.
We love your Audio Jack and your manly red beat up toolbox.
He's the heart and soul of
Appreciate
the
it.
pod for sure. Exactly.
Yeah, man.
And also, it's a nice hat.
The Mets are on a day off, man. Boy, did they earn this one after a West Coast trip. Much needed. Get a little bit of day of rest. On the 7th day, they rested.
Ooh.
And they'll forever be able to breathe this one out.
Jerry the Prophet.
Start anew.
Yeah, it was a tough series, very competitive by the Mets as always. We knew going in that we had won 3 of 4 from the Giants, so one win got us the season series win, which is exactly what they did in Game 1. A lot of people were a little bit worried about the lineup after kind of a mediocre showing at Coors Field, but the Mets definitely proved people wrong. They fell behind early in Game 1 thanks to Brandon Crawford's 2-run homer off David Peterson, but they got right back to things later on with Lindor's opposite field dink fly ball, as I wrote it here. It went for a game-tying double as it fell just on the foul line, and then Alonso caught the hanging curve on the first pitch from Alex Cobb and drove that to left center for a 3-run homer to make it a 5-run third inning, and the Mets never looked back after getting that lead. David Peterson looked like he did not miss a beat at all after getting demoted and reinserted back into the rotation. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, a home run on 99 pitches in his first start back against a very good team. His first start reaching 6 innings this season. He also had a season high in pitches and strikeouts. He lowers his season ERA to 2.16 on the year. Very, very good for him. The Mets broke things open in the 8th with home runs from Jeff McNeil, who was getting chirped at for not having enough power, and then Mark Canha joined in on the party as well. They go back-to-back, and Patty Maz added an RBI double to blow things open. Colin Holderman, who we're getting pretty high on every single time we see him, he had 2 more scoreless innings in this game. Some impressive relief. He has 6 shutout innings on the year after his Game 3 performance as well. And then the Mets teed off on position player Luis Gonzalez to make it a 13-2 game. Shreve sealed things in the 9th after allowing a run, and the Mets won this one handily 13-3 to take the season series.
Loved it. That was a good start to the series. The heckler, I've never seen anyone be more wrong consistently. It was actually kind of fun theater to watch.
We got to get him at every game. He's really helping us out.
He was yelling at McNeil, like, do some lower body, man. You ain't got no power. Then boom, homer. He was yelling at Patty.
Immediately after.
Immediately. Then he was telling Patty Maz, you're not going anywhere. Boom, base hit. Like, just, it was perfect.
It was great.
Yeah. So that brings us to game 2, which was designed to be the pitching matchup between dark horse Cy Young candidates Chris Bassett and Logan Webb. Didn't turn out to be so. After trading a couple of runs in the first 2 innings, the bottom of 3rd comes up. Jock Peterson smacks a 2-run homer to straightaway center field. Chris Bassett didn't look great, wasn't hitting his spots. Normally he's bounces back. But that brings us to the bottom of the 4th, and another Chris Bassett bad pitch. Tommy LaStella cranks a 3-run home run. It's the bottom of the 4th inning. It's already 6-1. Top of the 4th, Francisco Lindor off to a good day. Gets a sac fly to make the score 6-2. In the bottom of the 5th, Jock Peterson steps up once again and hits another 2-run home run off of Chris Bassett to make it 8-2. That would end, well, that didn't end it, but Chris Bassett ended up only 4 1/3, gave up 8 hits, 8 runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 3 home runs. His ERA started the day at 2.77, ended the day at 3.91.
That's tough.
Steven Nogasek ends up coming up and pitching a couple of really good innings. Let's go to the top of the 7th. It's still 6-2. Francisco Lindor hits a 2-run it's 8-2. Francisco Lindor hits a 2-run home run to make it 8-4 after an infield hit by Starling Marte. Let's go to the top of the 8th. McNeil singles, Eduardo Escobar singles, Mark Canha singles, all off Tyler Rogers. In steps Dom Smith, singles home, 2 runs, 8-6 Mets, or 8-6 Giants. Runners on 1st and 3rd. Guillorme, a little pinch hit, fielder's choice. Canha's out at home. It's 1st and 2nd. Nimmo hits an infield single, which was like the 10th infield single of the day for the Mets. The bases are loaded once again. Starling Marte hits a laser beam off 3rd baseman Padlo. In comes a run, 8-7 Giants. Bases still loaded. In comes Mets Giant himself, Francisco Lindor. He takes Tyler Rogers' pitch that was away from the left side, hits it down the 3rd baseline for a 3-run triple. Just a beautiful piece of hitting. The Mets take a 10-8 lead. Pete Alonso hits a missile of a sac fly to make it 11-8. Just an improbable comeback. An absolutely stellar lineup. Just doing everything right. Infield singles galore. Just playing hard. Then comes Drew Smith, our man, a friend of the pod, gets 2 quick outs here. Then Mike Yastrzemski singles. Darren Ruff, here's the bad part. The Darren Ruff 2-out, 4-pitch walk to bring up the guy that already has 2 home runs on the day, Jock Peterson. And he hits his 3rd home run of the day, a 3-run shot, just a heartbreaker of a home run to make it 11-11. A momentum crusher. Felt like just a bad day. You felt bad for Drew Smith, who looked great, but the Mets never quit. Dom Smith leading the way, starts the 9th off with a triple. Dom Smith, you got that right. hit a triple. I love it. He's showing his speed. In comes Patty Mass, who gets a ground ball, a little tapper back to the pitcher. 1 out, runner still on third. Nimmo gets a sac fly to make it 12-11. The Mets take the lead after Dom leadoff triple. They didn't leave him stranded. Lovely. They take the lead. In steps Edwin Diaz. The trumpets are playing in all of our heads, except for you because you were sleeping.
Right.
Everybody that stayed up late, feeling good about it. Jankowski's in the game. Diaz comes in. Wilmer Flores singles on the first pitch, jumped on it. Happens. Then we get Tommy La Stella, who had a 3-run homer earlier in the game. He gets a quick double play. I think it's like 4 pitches into the game, 5 pitches in. We got 2 outs, nobody on. Another 2-out walk. Mike Yastrzemski gets a single. Darren Ruff gets a single. First and second. A little mound visit time for Edwin Diaz, because guess who's up? Mr. Jock Peterson, the Mets killer of them all. Jock Peterson singles on a 1-1 pitch, a line drive up the middle, ties the game 12-12. Runners on first and second. Brandon Crawford up. A 1-1 pitch. He singles on a ground ball out to the left field. Game over. Mets lose. They fight back. They give it up. They fight back even more in a game that just they don't give up. Then at the back end, our 2 big horses that we've been relying on, they've been trying. Drew Smith gives up a big 3 spot. And then Edwin Diaz, who wasn't sharp, didn't look great, gives up 2 runs in the 9th to in the ball game. So that's game 2. Do you want to dive in a little deeper, or do you want to move on?
We got to park here because there's so many things to unpack in this game.
That was a long one, by the way. That's a tough recap.
Hey,
thank you. That was a lot.
Yeah, give him that. He deserves that.
This is all my notes, and there's another page for the 9th inning itself. So.
Jeez, the yellow notepad. I mean, first thing I want to say is that your record in recap games this year is 8-10. I don't know why you're cursed with game 2s. I don't know what the Mets do in game 2 that makes them lose the majority of the time, but I mean, we got to keep the juju. We've talked about that.
Yeah, man. I'm for it. We keep winning series except for this one. You know, maybe we mix it up, but let's just keep it moving.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really this loss stings, but I'm also really impressed by the performance in this game. It was a no-quit game. I was obviously sound asleep for this game, as you mentioned before. I fell asleep in the 6th inning when it was 8-2, so apologies to Mets fans. But I went back and I analyzed every inch of this game afterward, because obviously it was basically the game of the year that I missed, which was tough. That 7-run rally, it's not the only 7-run inning we've had this year, which is an insane stat alone. And like you said before, so many infield singles. The Giants actually were the team that allowed the least infield singles in MLB heading into this series. They still have that lead in MLB, but I think we doubled their total in the process from this game alone, which is really cool. Alonso's missile of a sac fly. Lindor had his coming out party, I think, in this game, which was awesome. Just a great performance by him. Eddie had 4 hits after slumping for a few weeks there. That was really nice to see. McNeil and Marte added 3 hits. It was a great performance, 7 for 18 with runners in scoring position too. And I think a couple things got lost in translation on the pitching side because we had a couple implosions there. Steven Nagosic, 2 2/3 scoreless relief. It really looks like whatever Hefner taught Nagosic or worked with him on is working, because he has 5 2/3 scoreless this year. He's looked real good.
He looks really good. That's the thing. Not only is he rocking that mustache, but it's translating. You know, he's matured from when I saw him in 2019.
Yeah.
He looks like a more complete pitcher. His confidence on the mound. Sometimes it's just experience. Sometimes it's hearing stuff. Could be Hef. Yep. Could just be his personal growth. Whatever the case may be, he looks good out there.
It looks like he's finally able to get lefties out too, which was the thing that plagued him.
He came in after Bassett and went 2 2/3 and just dominated.
Kept
so
us in
good.
the game, which was really
cool. And he
cool.
won himself a trip back to AAA. He did a great job.
He's one of those guys that I fully believe will be back, but you're just in that kind of spot right now. You're the 26th man. There's just not enough room. And
27th man.
Or 27th man, I guess, because it's 26 now. I get confused. I'm an old
Don't worry,
timer.
me too.
Another thing that got almost lost here was that after the Giants tied the game, Joely came in. A lot of Mets fans thought that maybe he should have faced Jock. I still think that, I think Drew was fine to be in that situation. It just didn't work out.
Let Drew.
No one talks about it if Drew gets the out.
Yeah, of
essentially. Joely came in and allowed 3 singles in a row, and then he got yanked himself. So I'm not sure if Joely would have been any better.
Yeah, that's right. Ottavino came in and had a big strikeout there after giving up 3 hits in a row. Yeah,
I was hard on Ottavino earlier in the season. I had a couple tweets where I felt uneasy with him in the game. He's looked really good this month. Ever since that Braves implosion that he had on no days
after
rest.
that 3rd day in a row pitching where
He's
it was a pretty
good.
rough day for him. He has been great.
And that's a huge strikeout that maybe just lets the game get away from us even earlier and doesn't allow that comeback. Dom's triple is probably a home run in like 29 other parks, but you're playing in Triples Alley, so that's just how it goes. But he looked really good in this game. A lot of good at-bats. Not swinging at first pitches a lot in this game, too, which was nice. I haven't seen him work a lot of counts this year. There's a lot of things to love in this game, and you can blame it on Drew Smith, you can blame it on Edwin Diaz, but when Bassett goes out and he allows 8 earned runs in 4 innings, it's tough to win that game. And I understand that if you're not down 8-2, maybe you don't have that awe-inspiring comeback in the first place, but at the same time, it's hard to win games when you give up 12 runs, It's just tough in general.
Oh, here, that you wrote it down, and I heard it a few times. The Mets were 100, and Mets in their history of the franchise were 180-0 when putting up at least 12 runs in a game, and they lost for the first time in franchise history and when scoring 12 runs.
Which will probably go on to be one of the games of the year, for sure. I
think so. It was absolutely an electric game. I was like laying in bed listening to it. Like I was watching it, put the phone down and like close my eyes. And then in that 8th inning, I'm like listening to it and it starts to get crazy. So like I pick up the phone and I start watching the broadcast. It was like a roller coaster of emotion, just so I'm glad most Mets fans were already asleep because that would have broken some hearts and they wouldn't have slept at all the rest of the night.
Yeah, I kept saying that I wasn't sure if I was happy or sad that I missed this game. It is a good game to talk about. I think I would have been very sad if I missed that comeback and also the Phillies comeback, but luckily I stayed in tune for that game because, you never know.
So I kind of want to deep dive on Drew Smith and and if we can get Edwin Diaz in. Do you want to just recap game 3?
Yeah,
we'll talk about it, and then I'll jump back.
We'll go through this pretty quick. The Mets went into game 3 not having a 5th starter. Some people thought it might have been Trevor Williams again after he kind of had a rough outing at Coors Field. Instead, the turn went to Thomas Szapucki, who was recovering from ulnar transposition surgery, I believe it was called. He was pretty impressive in AAA this year at a 3 ERA, a decent amount of strikeouts, so he got the call for this game. I'm not sure if he was tipping his pitches or just had trouble with his command, but it was not. It couldn't have gone worse for our friend Thomas Szapucki. He went 1 2/3 innings, allowed 9 earned runs, 4 long balls, 3 walks. It was just an absolute nightmare of an outing. I don't know if we'll see him again this year, but hopefully if he pitches again, it won't be as bad as this. The Mets bullpen did a really good job in this game, which will go unnoticed because of how far down they were. Trevor Williams, who maybe should have gotten this start, he went 3 2/3 innings in scoreless relief. Colin Holderman had another scoreless inning. Chasen Shreve, Seth Lugo, they all combined for 6 2/3 scoreless with 8 strikeouts. The Mets bats, they had scored 25 runs in the past 2 games, so a lot of fans were still watching, waiting for the comeback to happen again. They went quiet in this game against Jacob Junis, who looked pretty good. Lindor had another good game, though, a double and a home run in this one. McNeil made an awesome catch in left field. He gets pulled as a cautionary tale with a left knee contusion. He's day-to-day, no IL stint, which is good there. Dom and Guillorme combined for 4 walks. I like to see that from Dom because, like I mentioned before, Dom had trouble swinging at the first pitch a lot, not working a ton of counts, so him getting 2 walks in this game was good. The Mets went 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. It's tough to win games that way. So they lose 9-3. They fall to 29-17 with their second series loss of the year. Overall, still a competitive series. You win the season set against the Giants anyway, so you have season set wins against the Giants and the Cardinals, which I think is pretty huge for this Mets team going forward. A lot of good takeaways, a lot of bad ones, but they get a much-deserved and much-needed day off today, which is good.
Yeah. So, in the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at it in a big snapshot of the season, you want to win at home, win every series at home, and you want to split on the road.
Yep.
So they went 3-3 on the road trip. Obviously, this is a heartbreaker, and they lost the series to the Giants, but they win the overall series. And if you just take a step back and look at it as a whole, it's okay.
Yeah.
I want to look at, so Edwin Diaz, I've been we both have been huge proponents for him. We've been on his cheering squad. And I keep repeating, I've done it on the pre and post game. I've done it here. We did it in our PPPs. We were excited for him, but what he's been doing the best that he hasn't done in years past was be able to make an adjustment when he loses it.
Yeah.
So he's been, he just loses it sometimes to where the ball doesn't feel like it's coming out of the right slot, and he starts to baby it. His arm angle drops, his elbow drops, and he starts to like aim instead of throw and pitch. And he's been able to get like 2 or 3 pitches, even a batter that he'll walk a guy and then lock it back in. He'll be able to hammer that pitch down and away, then his slider off of that. The last couple of outings, he hasn't been able to do that. He's still kind of feeling it. You see him being a little bit lacking self-confidence out there in his pitch selection and his ability to throw both pitches, because even when you don't have it, you have to still throw. When you only have 2 pitches, you still have to throw both pitches, even if they're not great. You have to be able to show the hitters that they can't just lock in on one pitch and location. And he just kind of lost it a little bit, and he didn't find it. And it cost him those 2-out walks, both him and Drew Smith. Drew Smith, I'll go from Edwin Diaz. I'm still worried about Edwin Diaz, not in a major, funk of a way.
Yeah.
But I want him to focus and not just ignore this, because sometimes throughout the season as a pitcher, you'll go through a little bit of a lull and you can ignore it and push your way through and think in that short-term memory, forget about it and just move forward and try not to dwell. I don't want him to just pretend like the bad thing never happened, because that's part of what we do in the bullpen is like, all right, I'm still good. What I want him to do is to be like, all right, I lost it. What do I need to work on? And go back to like driving the ball from the right side down and, glove side. So I want him to focus a little bit, especially, having a day off for him to kind of reset. When he gets to the field today or tomorrow, I want him to focus and really be like, all right, this is what I was doing and I couldn't find it. I've been able to do it all season. We're in a little bit of a funk. I'm going to focus on it and get back to what he was doing in spring training or whatever the case may be to lock himself back in. Hefner will be on that. He'll be on that. So I'm not worried about him, but I want him to address it.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about Edwin Diaz. It's back-to-back appearances that haven't looked great. I still am impressed with how he rounded out in that Cardinals appearance and kept the Mets in the game that they eventually won. The Giants are a good team. They put together good at-bats all the time. Their record may not reflect it because they were so dominant last year. They're still a very good team. The one guy I want to talk about is Drew Smith.
Cool.
Smith, Mets fans were clamoring to see Smith in that setup role. They got their wish. It hasn't gone swimmingly so far. I think that Smith's slider was kind of falling flat. He couldn't really rely on it during that inning. His spin was down. He wasn't really commanding it well. In that 4-pitch walk, he could not command his fastball at all. It really felt like what you said before. He was trying to aim it a little bit, and that's why I got crushed by Jock Peterson there. I still think that these are 2 guys that we can rely on going forward. Smith may not be the setup guy, and I think that's perfectly okay, because when we saw him in the 6th and 7th inning, he was absolutely locked down. And the thing that I keep saying is that the easiest thing that the Mets can make an acquisition for is bullpen help. That's something that every team, regardless of if you're a contender or not, has in some capacity. So going forward, I don't see it being a big issue, but for the time being, because obviously this won't come until July, these are guys that the Mets are going to have to rely on, and I do think that they'll come around. They've had some tough teams to face. They're going to continue to have tough teams to face in the long run. But when I'm getting performances like Joely Rodriguez's, uncompetitive three singles in a row, and then you have to come in and bring out Ottavino again, that's the kind of stuff that worries me. Smith got his first 2 outs. Edwin Diaz got his first 2 outs. They just had bad turns after that. You can pick and choose what you want to dwell on, but altogether, it was just not a great pitching performance in general.
For Edwin Diaz, it's a mechanical flaw that he's been able to mid appearance been able to correct, and he didn't do it significantly enough. He kept falling back out of that groove. For Drew Smith, it's been the same thing. And even when he was like started off the year just absolutely dominant, and they're like, hey, what's the key to success? He's like, look, I'm aware that it's going really well for me, but he's like, there's things that I could still work on.
Yes.
Because he knew he was missing location a lot and in larger chunks, falling behind, walking guys. His walks were up. And so he knew that there were things to be worked on. And when those catch up to you, like they have in the last couple of outings, bad things happen. And so he's aware of it. He needs to address that fastball command and then go off of that.
Yep.
Because he's been, throughout his whole career, he's been able to command that fastball, especially up in the zone, because he's got a good one. I'm not worried about him. Maybe he slides back into that 6th, 7th role for a while. Ottavino steps into the 8th. Seth Lugo, who's been dominant, didn't make an appearance there. And so maybe, he just falls back in, and at some point they're going to need him to pitch that 8th inning setup role again, just because of the way of the world. How many games you play, he's going to be that guy. And I expect him to go out and be dominant like he has been. It's pitching, man. It's relieving when you do it in such small sample size. Anytime that you are bad, it shows up in the box score as a loss for you or a fail. And so, throw strikes. He needs to throw strikes. 2 out walks. They killed both guys, and they were both so badly timed, so poorly timed to bring up Jock Peterson. Like a 4-pitch walk to Darren Ruff in front of a guy that's already got 2 homers on the day is a real bad look. And so that was the crusher. Yeah,
Peterson was 4 for 45 entering this series. And then apparently he had a conversation with Barry Bonds, and then he came out and had a month's worth of production in one game. The thing that I see from Drew Smith's pitch mix is that anytime a fastball was located for a strike, it was middle in or middle. Anytime he tried to go high or low, he missed by a country mile. So that is really the key. He just wasn't able to pinpoint his fastball. That's a thing that he can kind of work. It's a mechanical issue, like exactly what you said with Edwin Diaz. So it's not a foregone conclusion that these are going to be the performances we see going forward.
No, these are hiccups in a long season. It just happens to be echoed because the Mets offense fought tooth and nail a bunch of times in that epic Game 2 comeback. So that one just hurt a little bit more. So again, not worried about those guys. I'm excited for them to be a part of this bullpen. So but Edwin Diaz, if he comes out in this next outing and he looks the same, very, very shaky, even if the results, I want to see his fastball be able to spot down and away, glove side, and I want to see his slider be able to pitch off of that fastball. If he's not doing that, I will be worried because he didn't address the issue at hand. But I expect him to bounce back. He's a pro's pro. He's done it already a bunch of times this year, but it's something that I will be looking at.
All right. And it's also something that he's proven that he can get outs even if he doesn't completely have. Obviously, you want him to have
so electric.
Stuff. Yes, for sure.
He can still get outs even when he's not great. But in order for him to be the guy that, if we're in the World Series and the bases are loaded, he has to have that sharp stuff. And that's what we're looking to do this season. And so that's what the Mets are. Their Mets are basing everything off, and their fans, rightfully so, that when the game's on the line in the playoffs and Edwin Diaz is in the ball game, how you feeling? And if he's not sharp and can't bounce back quickly, it's going to be a holding your breath kind of moment. But I expect him to bounce back. And
I still believe that there's unless he's named Josh Hader, there's no reliever you can trade for or acquire that would improve upon Edwin Diaz. I do believe.
Yeah, there's no other guy besides Josh Hader that would slide into that. That would move him out of the closer's role.
Yes, exactly.
And even Josh Hader, I don't think would move him because I think Hader's clearly the number one guy, but I think Hader would be, this is a different, but I think he would be better served in that 7th, 8th inning role. Depending on who's coming up in the lineup, leaving Diaz a chance to kind of stay regular. I think Hader will be electric no matter where he goes, whereas I think Diaz might be better served in a more predictable role.
Yeah, and Hader's not going anywhere as long as the Brewers are good. They'd be
well, they did talk about trading him.
They discussed it, but like, come on, man. Why would
They're not.
Yeah. So speaking of those offensive comebacks, we got to do our apple of our eye, which is gonna be a position player because we didn't get a ton of great pitching this time around. I'm excited for mine. I'm just gonna read off their performances because it's basically you can make a starting lineup of all these great performances essentially. Starling Marte went 4 for 15 with 2 RBI and a stolen base in this series. Lindor went 5 for 11, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 9 RBI. Alonso went 3 for 13. He got another home run and 4 RBI. I think he still has the major league lead in RBI, which is cool. Eddie Escobar had a huge bounce back in this series. He went 7 for 14 with 2 doubles and 2 RBI. Mark Canha, 4 for 10, a home run, 2 RBI. Seems like everybody got 2 RBI. That's pretty cool. Dom Smith, 2 for 7, 2 walks, a triple, 2 RBI. J.D. Davis went 4 for 5, and then he got benched 2 games in a row. That's tough. 2 doubles and 2 RBI for him as well. Who you got for your Apple this week?
All right. So I was bouncing back and forth. I want to give a shout out, not the Apple, but maybe a Johnny Appleseed kind of acknowledgement.
Ooh.
Jeff McNeil, 5 for 9, a double, homer, 2 RBI, 2 walks, and a stolen base. More importantly, in that third game, he made a sliding catch into the wall. He's been playing unbelievable defense.
Yes.
Like, his offense has been the talk of the town for good reason. But he has been absolutely phenomenal. I want to say Gold Glove, outs above average. I'll let you check that up.
I'm going to check it. I'm going to have it right now.
Yeah, he has been so good defensively at second and in the outfield. I can't help but think that Jeff McNeil is a superstar if this is what he continues.
He is a +2 outs above average left fielder, which means he is like a plus defender at 2 positions this season. That's incredible.
That's incredible. Yeah. So he is not my guy. As much praise as he deserves there, because you got to give it to Mr. Francisco Lindor. The Mets fans, Mets front office, Francisco's family, himself has to be excited about how good he looked in this series. I'll repeat what you said earlier. 5 for 11, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs, and 9 RBI. That is spectacular. He did it from both sides of the plate. He did it in a manner to where he's driving the ball. He had that huge triple batting left-handed that went down the third baseline. It wasn't like his hits early in the season left-handed that went to the left side were like he's out front and they blooped it over. He drove that ball from a submariner, a really good one in Tyler Rogers. He drove that down that left field line. He's got a really good approach. His swing has been really well timed. He's not getting too long. He's not trying to do too much. He stayed within himself, and it was spectacular. So excited for Francisco, because when he go, we go. Very good.
There are 3 players in the National League with 200 plate appearances or more. 2 of them play for the New York Mets, and one of them is named Francisco Lindor. He's also going to get my Apple. There were a ton of great performances. Yeah, but like, it's hard not to pick him, especially because
Let's give him another round of applause.
Yeah,
he deserves it. Let's give him another round of applause.
Jack had the trigger finger on the
he was ready.
He wasn't sure. He wasn't
was
sure.
ready.
He just kept talking. He didn't give me time to do it.
Sorry,
Even
Jack.
in his Giants hat, he was ready.
He was ready. We've been waiting for this kind of performance from Lindor. Obviously, we've seen some great games from him this season, but he was like the backbone of this offense and this comeback during the series. I'm just going to read off some ranks among MLB shortstops because there's been a lot of talk about where he places
Major League
among
Baseball shortstops. All 30 teams. All 30 teams.
Yep.
This is where Lindor ranks.
Nobody has scored more runs in MLB for a shortstop than Francisco Lindor with 31 runs. He's second in home runs, RBI, and walk percentage at 8 home runs, 33 RBI, and a 10.2 mark. He's fourth in Fangraphs WAR at 1.6, and he's fifth in WRC Plus, which is essentially OPS Plus, at 126, 26% better than league average. He is a top 5 shortstop in every major metric in MLB right now among shortstops. It's really nice to see. It's the exact production you want out of a guy like Lindor, and it's a shame that we couldn't get a series win in what is essentially his best series of the year so far. I'm not worried personally about Lindor. I never have been this entire season, and I think there is something to say about a guy that goes out there every single game of the season and is in that lineup every single day, because that's exactly what he's done. He's DH'd, I think, a couple games, but he's out there at the toughest position to play in the field besides maybe catcher, and he's doing it at an above average rate every day. And I'm very appreciative to have Francisco Lindor on my baseball team.
Me too. That's well said.
Thank you.
I think the other guy that you talked about that has the most at-bats is Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
Having him like slated in the cleanup spot every single day makes Buck Showalter his job so much easier.
Yeah.
And then having Francisco Lindor, lined up at shortstop because he is a plus defender. And then his offensive production has been stellar as well. I think we're seeing him be himself. To have those guys penciled in at 3-4 and then to be able to move every piece around them, and Nimmo at the top, but you got to give him more days off because of durability issues. Marte, whatever the case may be, is older. Escobar, like Guillorme, all those guys behind him, because of how good Lindor has been at shortstop, batting third, and Pete Alonso first and DH batting fourth. It makes this lineup so good. And to have two superstars of your lineup, the two best guys that you need to rely on in there every day, holy crap. I know there's 29 other teams that would love to have one guy do it, let alone two.
Yeah, I really liked what you guys were talking about on Talking Baseball when you went on the show on Wednesday about how Pete has batted in the same spot the entire season, and that these are two guys that have played in more games than pretty much any tandem in MLB. We talked a lot about, how sorely missed DeGrom is on this team and how sorely missed Scherzer is in the past week or so. I do genuinely believe that the Mets might be in a much worse spot if, say, they had those pitchers, but maybe not Lindor and Alonso, because they've provided this lineup so much stability, and we've seen so many great comebacks and so much cohesiveness from this lineup that I do think would be lost without the 3 and 4 hitters out there every single day, producing every single day. I mean, a lot of people talk smack about RBI as a stat. I still think it's pretty important because it means you're getting hits in spots when you need them. And these are two guys that are in the top 5 of MLB in RBI. They're getting it done every day and getting hits in spots where you absolutely need them to make these comebacks. And it won't go appreciated until the Mets are in a solidified, successful spot at the end of the season. But these two are having seasons where they're going to get MVP votes.
Yeah, man, it's wonderful. I think you stated it. A lot of people dog RBI because it's a lot of opportunity based, because you can't create your own RBI opportunities like that, but they're there. Yeah. And when you have them, these guys are coming through. Even when Lindor wasn't crushing the ball, when he had an RBI opportunity, he was producing.
Yes.
Going the other way, hitting a sac fly, whatever he needed to do. And that's kind of been everybody in this lineup has done the little things to make sure when they have an advantaged opportunity, a runner on third, less than 2 outs, runners in scoring position, if they need to get them over, they'll get them over. If they need to drive them in, they'll drive them in. I think we've seen the heart and soul and identity of this team from day one. And it's Buck Showalter. It's the veteran leadership on this team, Max Scherzer, Lindor, Escobar. These guys are an awesome team. And without, the last couple of years, the identity of the New York Mets has been in jeopardy for who are these? Who is this team? Who is this talented roster? What type of team are they? Post All-Star break, we're trying to figure out who these guys are.
Yeah.
From day one, this team has played exactly like this, which is incredible. The fight that they have, they're never done. They never give it in. You always feel like they're going to play, and they play hard. And Jeff McNeil's sliding catch into the wall after the starting pitcher, gets absolutely shelled after a heartbreaker of a game in the night before, to come out there to put yourself on the line. That is who these guys are. That's everything you ask for. And without Lindor in the middle and Alonso batting cleanup, you don't have this kind of team.
I really loved everything you said there. It was a 9-1 game. He could have got injured. It was inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, and he still went out there and made that catch. I loved what you said about identity. We had a core from 2019 that really showed some promise and kind of fizzled out toward the end, and we held true to that core for a few years, hoping that they could recapture that magic. It was tough to move on. It was tough to say goodbye to a player like Michael Conforto and move on. But this new brand of Mets baseball is it's to die for. I love watching this team play every day. That's the main thing I said to Jimmy the other day when he asked me what's different about the team this year, is that they're fun to watch. They have yet to frustrate me in an unbearable way like they used to all the time. So it's really cool, and the two faces of that so far have been Lindor and Alonso, which is exactly what this front office wanted. That's exactly what they envisioned for this team going forward. That's the long-winded way of saying Francisco Lindor gets the apple of our eye. There you go.
Absolutely. I wanna touch base on the kind of state of the union here with their pitchers being down.
Yeah.
So they're missing DeGrom, Scherzer, and Tyler McGill. So those are the three big horses that they're missing. This is going to be a rough stretch for them, or it could be a rough stretch for them, especially in that rotation and even into the bullpen because of it. this is going to be a trying time for this team, because they put themselves in an opportunity to always be competitive, but they're not going to get those dominant performances from those three guys like they have. They've been without DeGrom all season, but it's still a huge loss because he's the best baseball player on the planet at his job. Scherzer going down is a big deal. He's going to be gone for a while. And Tyler McGill seems to be on his way back, but I'm not sure, what we're going to get and when. So I like that they started Zupacki. It's his first ever start in the big leagues. He's coming off of a surgery. He still had good stuff. He just had no idea what he was doing. He looked like he was in over his head a little bit. Probably had a lot of time to think about it. I think he's going to get another chance to start. Trevor Williams has been so valuable to this Mets team. If you've watched these guys on a regular basis, he's pitched in so many different roles and filled so many different spots that's kind of an invaluable thing to this not just pitching staff, as a team. He's come up huge, giving your guys a chance to be successful.
And he was just a throw-in that Baez trade. He was really just kind of,
that's right,
take him too. Why not? And he's been very valuable.
So he's been kind of that swing man. Is he going to start? Is he going to be in the bullpen? I would still love to see him stay in the bullpen because of so many things that he's been capable of doing. So I would love to see Zupacki get another shot at this rotation. He's still got good stuff. He's still another left-hander, which we could use to face the NL East. But if he's unsuccessful, then you gotta think about what you have. So I would like to give him another chance. You don't want to one start to be the identity of who you are and be sold off, but we're going to need another guy. So you have Bassett, who's kind of been shaky.
Yeah.
We're going to need him to bounce back. Cookie, who's been stellar after bouncing back. And then you have Taijuan Walker, who's been incredible.
Yeah.
Like incredible. His performance in Colorado is incredible, has been amazing. So you're going to need those three guys to be the stable forces in this run without the other three starters. Yeah, man, should be great. I want to see Peterson bounce back and look really good. He's going to be in that rotation, and then it's the fifth guy that's kind of up for grabs. But this is going to be a trying run. We just want our offense to do what they've been doing. You don't have to perform miracles every day, but you just want to be competitive, put the ball in play good defense, and hopefully you win more than you lose before we get our horses back.
Yeah, and before we tell you guys what's going to happen going forward with this team, who they're playing next, we got to tell you about today's sponsor for the episode, which is DraftKings Sportsbook. Guys, you can slide into stacks of cash this baseball season with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. New customers can bet just $5 on any team to win and get $150 in free bets no matter what, win or lose. So if you're looking to turn a small bet into a big payday during the MLB season, you can do a same-game parlay on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Create your own parlay by combining multiple bets like which team will win, how many bases will be stolen, total runs, and more. It's your shot at an even bigger payout. The DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, and best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. So download their app today, use promo code Jomboy, bet just $5, and get $150 in free bets no matter what happens on the field. That's promo code Jomboy at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. The ensuing schedule that I alluded to before includes an upcoming set with, you guessed it, the Philadelphia Phillies yet again. I don't know how many times we've played this team. I think we've already played 9 games against them this season. We've won each set, but we have one more with them before Memorial Day weekend finally comes around. Do you want to tell me who's pitching in that series, Jerry?
I'll just give a quick kind of schedule preview for Mets fans, especially after this homestand. So they got a 3-game set with the Phillies, followed by a 3-game set with the Nationals on the homestand, and then they're back out to the West Coast.
Yeah.
And they have 3 or 4 games in LA, followed by 3 games in San Diego, day off, and then 3 games in LA against the Angels. So this is going to be a super long West Coast road trip, and all of the games are going to be late as hell. There are no day games mixed in there. You have a day off mixed in between San Diego and the Angels, but this is going to be a long one. So be prepared for your schedule to be a little bit off. I know Joe
I'm not falling asleep again. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not looking forward to it, but this is, as a fan, when I played in Oakland, bless my family and all my friends that are Ohio's East Coast time. Holy crap, it is not fun. How do you do it? My grandma, my mom's mom, who, rest in peace, passed away a couple of years ago, but she used to stay up so late to watch me. And now that I'm like doing this and having to get up with my boys, so just prepare yourselves for this long road trip after this six game homestand.
Not a lot of sleep will be had by Mets fans, that's for sure.
So we are going to have our A team, the best of our best, facing these Philadelphia Phillies. The bad part about it is we are going to see old familiar foe and former friend Zach Wheeler this time around, which we've ducked him twice. But in game one, we have Cookie Carrasco and his 3.5 ERA against Zach Eflin and his 3.65 ERA. Gene Segura against Carrasco is 7 for 16 with 3 home runs. So we're going to look to squash that. On the flip side, Starling Marte against Zach Eflin is 7 for 13 with a home run. So hopefully they balance each other out.
Nice.
And Eflin will take last outing against the Mets on the first of this month. He went 4 1/3, gave up 5 earned runs, 8 hits, 1 walk, 3 punchies. And shockingly enough, Cookie has not faced this Philadelphia Phillies team. He's the Zach Wheeler of our rotation. That brings us to game 2. Taijuan Walker, after his amazing, can't stress it enough how good he was in Colorado. And he's got a 2.7 ERA against the aforementioned Zach Wheeler and a 3.38 ERA. Taijuan Walker will face Philly for the 4th time this year. God. He's got 11 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, 11 hits, 4 walks, 2 home runs allowed. That was the game when he got hurt, his first outing of the year. Zach Wheeler versus the Mets. We did face him once, did we?
Wheeler, we faced one time, but we have.
I forgot about that.
We ducked him in the other 2 series.
That's right. He only went 4 1/3 in that game, gave up 1 run, 2 hits, 1 walk, 3 punch outs. He's been excellent this month. He's 26 2/3 in the month of May with only 5 earned runs. That's a 1.69 ERA this month. He looks great. He looks like the Zach Wheeler we would expect. Again, I love our lineup, but especially their approach against Zach Wheeler. You're going to get really nasty stuff. They're not going to try to just hit home runs, which he will carve you up if you're doing that. We can put pressure on him, and their defense is not great, especially with Bryce Harper and his elbow that needs surgery. He can hit, but they have to put their offensive first team out there on defense. Yeah. So we can take advantage of that. Game 3, we're going to need a big bounce back from the probable we're putting up here because it would be his spot in the rotation, correct?
It would be Peterson's spot, but I think with the day off, they're going to put this guy in.
Is this pure speculation from you?
This is pure speculation. I got it from a Tim Healy tweet, and he's got information. So
okay, so Tim Healy, shout out, who's actually a really funny,
very
funny follow.
Yeah, for sure.
I like Tim Healy. Good beat writer. Anyway, that he says Chris Bassett. So if it's not him, make sure you tell him on Twitter, attack Tim Healy and his 3.94. Please bounce back, Chris Bassett. We need you. You're excellent. I'm a big fan. Going up against the Kyle Gibson resurrection team and his 3.94 ERA. Chris Bassett likely take the order of Peterson, which you said here, if he clears a cold and sinus issue.
Which I didn't even know.
Bassett had his worst start of the season versus the Giants. Absolutely easy to tell. He went 4 1/3, gave up those 8 runs. But Kyle Gibson versus the Mets this year, 10 1/3 innings, only 2 earned runs, 8 hits, 5 walks. We'll look to capitalize on those walks. We're going to skew those numbers. We're going to destroy him in game 3. The Mets are going to take another series.
Love that. Love your series probables as always, Jerry. Couple things I want to note. When we faced Zach Wheeler earlier in the season, he was not fully stretched out, still recovering from that injury. That's why he only went 4 1/3.
Right. That's why I didn't remember it.
But, I mean, he's looked real good this month.
He looks like the Zach Wheeler that we let go, and we're sad about it from,
We don't have to talk about it, We don't have to.
Why not? I love Zach.
I love Zach, too. He's a good dude. He went 7 2/3 scoreless against the Rangers. He won a game against the Dodgers, 7 shutty against the Padres, and then nearly 7 innings with 2 earned runs allowed and 10 Ks against the Braves the last time out. I'm glad you brought up the Phillies defense. They've had a ton of lowlights in this Philly-Atlanta series that's still going on. It'll conclude today. Atlanta's taken 2 out of 3. I don't know what's going on in center field with Odubel Herrera, but it has not looked pretty. Roman Quinn had an error there, too.
Yeah, Roman Quinn's been their defensive replacement, and he didn't look great.
Yeah, the corner guys have honestly been the best. Castellanos and Schwarber, they have made the least mistakes, at least what I've seen on clips. Their infield defense still looks okay. Bohm hasn't made an error in a while, which is good for him. I'm happy for that kid.
He's hitting well too.
Yeah, he's hitting really well. But hopefully we can take advantage of their defensive woes. I'm really excited for Game 1 because Cookie hasn't faced the Phillies yet, so there's no book on him right now for those guys. So hopefully that gives us a slight edge. We had a lot of success against Eflin, so that'll be a big game to take. I'm glad Taiwan is the guy facing Wheeler because I think he's the hottest starter we have in our rotation right now. And even if it ends up being Peterson on Sunday, still feel confident with him on the mound. It really feels like he has a chip on his shoulder and has something to prove and doesn't want to lose his spot again when those guys get healthy. I feel like Peterson has a lot to prove, and he had the best start of anybody against the Giants. They have a very good lineup with 6 innings and 2 earned runs. So this is a big set against the Phillies. They haven't beaten us in a set this year. It would be nice to go 4-0, steady the momentum into a set with Washington, get a little fat before that West Coast trip.
Yeah, man. Schwarber is kind of coming out of his funk a little bit. He's still hitting sub 200, but he's got an OPS of 743 and he's got 10 home runs. Bryce Harper is playing MVP level offense, even though he's not playing defense. He's got an OPS over 1,000 right now. Rhys Hoskins has been pretty good too. He's got 7 bombs. He's hitting 222. But Gene Segura has been kind of a really bright spot at 32 years old. Just a really good underappreciated big leaguer. Yeah. OPS plus of 129. Just incredible. Castellanos is still kind of hasn't really found his way for them. Not doing terrible, but just hasn't been the guy that they signed up for. So yeah, let's look towards those lineups. I would love to make sure Bryce Harper does not beat us, whatever that means in big spots. If you got to walk him, pitch around him, whatever the case may be, he's on another level offensively and make the other guys beat you, you know?
I definitely agree. We've held him to a couple solo home runs this year. No real substantial huge hits so far from any of their big boppers. Gene Segura is a known Mets killer, so I'd be afraid of him in the series for sure. But I feel good about this team. I feel good about this set. And then you got the Nationals coming up right after. This is a nice spot to go 4-2, get a couple games back that maybe you lost one on that West Coast road trip, and then build yourself a nice little lead in the NL East.
Did you just send out a tweet while I was talking?
I retweeted something.
You did.
I didn't tweet it. Ryan.
You weren't listening to me at all.
Ryan tweeted that. That wasn't me. We have a socials guy now. His name's Ryan. He does a good job. I think Jack lowered you.
Okay, I just looked down and I got an update that Jack had retweeted something while I'm talking. Unbelievable.
Jerry, I haven't listened to you the entire episode. That was well timed.
Oh, we'll talk about it. We'll
discuss. Jerry's going to reprimand me.
Let's go. Enjoy your day off. Get some sleep. Enjoy this 6-game homestand that we got coming up, New York Mets fans, because it's going to be a long road trip after this. So enjoy the homestand. Go out and cheer on your New York Mets. Go to Citi Field. We will be there on the 1st of June. So that's exciting.
That's for the Mets-Nats game.
That's right.
So we'll be there if you want to come say hi.
The last game of the homestand, we'll be there.
Yes. And Jerry's very easy to spot. I'm also just as tall as Jerry.
Is Audio Jack coming?
Audio Jack will be joining us.
I'll be the tallest of the 3.
So if you want me to take a picture of you and Audio Jack, that can be arranged because he's the biggest celebrity here.
All right. That's it. I mean,
word gets around.
With his red toolbox. Whew, we need to put out a calendar with that on the cover.
He got semi-recognized at Yankee Stadium a couple weeks ago.
What does that mean? How do you get semi-recognized?
I was wearing a Jomboy hoodie, and somebody goes, "Oh, Jomboy, you work there?" I don't know why that was his first thought.
I don't know. Okay, yeah. I'd be like, yeah, man. I am Jomboy. Wait, no, I'm not.
Oh, also, go watch JM Gaming Mario Kart tournament. Because me and Jack
don't watch it.
Big stars there.
I tried.
Yeah, that was tough.
I tried to experiment with a game style and gameplay on the fly for the first time
in tournament. Very risky play.
Yeah,
very risky.
First time I'm like, hey, I've been playing pretty well, but I think I could really push it because I'm not going to win. And I went for the win. And it turned out to be the opposite. So
you did well in the Mario Kart 64 tournament, so you can you can hold that.
I also have. So you see that Switch? I have a Switch with me. Like I have one, and my son and I play. But I saw what BBD did and how his style of play was, And I was like, if I need to win, because I was going to I'm like shooting for third place, and I'm a winner. I'm trying to get to the top of the podium. I didn't want to settle for third. And I was like, this is how BBD plays. I'm going to try it. And I tried it, and I was not ready.
But you can get there, Jerry. You can get there.
I was not ready for the difference in, like, he went big body and he went motorcycle, and the amount of grip change I wasn't ready for. So I'm all balance. So he's all grip because he goes and he gets I was not ready for it, and I was embarrassed by my showing. But again, go for the W.
Yeah, man, come on.
I'm
guys,
trying to win a World Series.
We'll see you Monday to talk about Mets Phils. Get some sleep, like Jerry said. Stock up on your Z's because it's gonna be a long trip.
Switch up your sleep pattern, so you're working second shift now as a Mets fan.
Get on it now before it's too late. Thanks for listening.
Take some coffee in the 4th inning. You'll be good to go.
Not this coffee, though. Sludge.
Go Mets!